Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today, we've got this is not a top 10 on floral notes. So I want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. It is a Monday. I'm off work, hence the t-shirt. And I just wanted to do this video for you guys because, I've had it on the docket for a long time. I created this binder when I first started doing my videos. And this is a list that I made long ago and never did. I actually did one of these on rose already. So this is not a top 10 rose fragrance you can find if you just search rose on my channel, or if you go to the playlist, you can actually find it. You'll see some of the fragrances like Hermès 900, Ungaro Actor. You will see Les Indemodables, Rose de Jamal, which is amazing. You'll see Moschino's Toy Boy, which is a fantastic designer rose perfume. You'll see Lyric Man and Lyric Woman, which I want to get a full bottle of Lyric Woman one day as well. So the rose side of things, obviously some of these are going to have rose, but the famous rose fragrances you will not see in this list. You're going to see some of the other flowers highlighted here. So let's get started with my scent of the day. This is what actually made me want to do this video. Today I'm wearing a discontinued fragrance by the late, great Edmund Rudnitska, one of the greatest perfumers of all time. And it's a fragrance by the house of Mario Valentino, which is different from the house of Valentino. So if you're thinking Valentino Uomo, that's a completely different house than Mario Valentino. This is called Ocean Rain. Interesting bottle. It almost looks like, the back almost looks like a sunset, on the water, so to speak. There's the back. I like the bottle design. And the fragrance itself is interesting because it's exactly 1990, okay? So 1990 on the nose is when it came out. And unfortunately, it is Edmund Rudnitska's final fragrance, his last opus. And I'll tell you what, this fragrance is something interesting because it reminds me of a couple fragrances. In the opening, you get this green floral-like scent. You don't get very much marine notes. It says there are aquatic or marine notes listed, but he must have been at the cutting edge of using marine notes even in 1990. He must have really kicked off that aquatic trend. And, even though this fragrance, I think, was a flop, I don't think many people bought this. I think what it did is it signaled to other perfumers that, hey, the trend is shifting. The tide is turning, if you will. Bad pun for Ocean Rain. But the tide is turning. And, the base of this, which I have a 7-hour dry down right here. The base of this will remind some people of Creed's Millésime Impériale, which was done by Pierre Bourdon. And we know that Pierre Bourdon was Edmund Rudnitska's pupil. And this is an interesting fragrance. If you want to wear a marine fragrance that's maybe more spicy, more floral, more green, with just a tiny touch of marine, and you want Edmund Rudnitska's masterful hand in creating it, check out Ocean Rain. You can still find these for relatively cheap. There's some 50 ml bottles on eBay last I checked at a great price. I got this from Amouage for under 100 bucks for 100 mil. I mean, you can't go wrong with an Edmund Rudnitska like that. So I'll be talking about this more, but it has this almost like this antiseptic quality to it. Have you ever watched like the tide come in on rocks or something and leave this foam after it comes in inland? It leaves this foam on the rocks or on the sand or whatever it is. It kind of reminds me of that, like this ozonic foam. Or have you ever had a cut on your arm or something and you put hydrogen peroxide on it and it bubbles up? I know it's a terrible image, but that bubbliness is for some reason what this fragrance reminds me of. It's very cold. It's almost like, the depths of the ocean. It's almost like Chanel number 19 cold. There's no galbanum here, but there is Artemisia and basil and balsam firs and oak moss and other green notes like that. There's even leather in the base. And there's cyclamen here as well, which can sometimes give off this rooty, you know, cyclamen shares some commonality with potatoes, believe it or not. And so, you know, the way that their roots hold water and stuff like that, it has this very rooty, green, you know, vegetal smell. It's an interesting fragrance. It's not my favorite, I'll tell you that. These kind of fragrances I make myself wear because I want to get to know them and I want to learn the works of someone great like Edmund Rudnitska. But this fragrance is worth talking about, and it inspired this list, so I wanted to spend a little bit of time on it. But the closest fragrance, I think, to Ocean Rain that you can find, even though there's no Lily of the Valley note listed in Ocean Rain, if you get a vintage bottle of Diorissimo, and you see the way that he constructed the Lily of the Valley note here, which there's lilac, Baronia, there is Lily of the Valley, Ylang Ylang. So there's a lot of different florals in vintage Diorissimo. This is the discontinued Eau de Toilette. All right. And I got this for like 20-something bucks. It was an absolute steal. I don't know why the lady sold it to me at that price. But someone was looking out for me for sure, because now I'm seeing bottles at, you know, bigger and bigger price jumps. And, you know, there is no natural essence. So the first flower we're going to talk about is Lily of the Valley, which I did a whole video on Lily of the Valley for Mew Gay Month. But basically, as a recap, you can go check that video out as well, of course, but there is no natural essence. Lily of the Valley itself cannot be extracted, right? So the perfumer has to be able to reconstruct it using usable notes in perfumery. And even though there were Lily of the Valley fragrances before, in '56, Rudnitska basically succeeded with his reconstruction of this flower by using hydroxycitronellol. Sorry, I'm not a chemist, so some of the words, you know, my Texas tongue can't handle it. But it was the main aroma in these Lily of the Valley fragrances, but I think now that's been banned and it had to be recreated and all that stuff. So 2009, Dimashi reformulated this into its own bottle, its own creation, which I've never smelled, but I do hear from reputable sources that it is still quite decent. But if you can get the vintage, go for it. All right, we got to pick it up here because we're already almost 8 minutes in and we've only done 2 fragrances. So the next one I want to talk about is a fragrance from the 30s that I talked about a little bit yesterday. This is Pate Joy. Now, as far as animalic floral fragrances go, this is top 5. Joy is absolutely amazing. It's aldehydic. It's floral, obviously. It's a little bit fruity, but the peach is just kind of used as a buffer to give your nose something a little different than just animalic floral. There's heavy tuberose, heavy ylang, heavy rose, but I absolutely love it. The scent itself is constructed in such a way that, you know you're smelling something amazing. You're smelling fine French perfumery, you know, maybe at its finest. It's a stunning scent. This is what a vintage bottle looks like. Someone told me this is a 1950s bottle, but I think this is what the original bottle looked like. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a vintage bottle. Just smelling it from the cap, it's amazing. There's also jasmine, Lily of the Valley, orchid, and rose in Joy. So if you're a fan of animalic fragrances, animalic floral fragrances, check out Joy. I absolutely love it. And then next on the list, we've got the only Roja Dove on this list, and it is a decant. Here, let me put this away so I don't lose it here. All right, so this is a decant, and so this is a 7.5 ml Discovery Atomizer, and this is Chypré Extraordinare. So Chypré Extraordinare is Roja's take on creating a Chypré fragrance without any oak moss, okay? And, well, that was the idea anyways. Huge florals in this fragrance, gigantic. This would smell amazing on a professional woman. It is aldehydic. There's geranium, May rose, orange blossom, ylang ylang, tuberose, jasmine from grass, heliotrope, violet, iris. There's all kind of florals. Everything you can imagine in here. It says there's civet in the base, but for me, it's not enough. I like my fragrances dirtier. That's why I prefer Diaghilev. And that's why I would never get a full bottle of Chypré Extraordinaire. It's too clean for me. If you like a clean Chypré, you just want something that's high quality. It is high quality, I will admit. There is also leather and styrax and cumin and stuff in the base, which you would think I would love. It's just not enough. It's not turned up enough for me. To me, it seems clean, floral. And I mean, it's nice, but not full bottle worthy to me, but that is Roja's Chypré Extraordinaire. Okay, next we're going to do a decant that Amouage was kind enough to send me, and it's from 1979. It is discontinued. It's a women's targeted fragrance called Madame de Carven, and you can barely see the writing on this little pouch that it comes in. But here is the fragrance. And Madame de Carven came out in 1979. It's absolutely amazing. I haven't given it a full wear yet, but I love the way it smells. I wore it to bed once. It's got this rose jasmine ylang thing going on with heavy patchouli, and it was the 70s. And then you get this frankincense and this syrupy styrax thing in the base. It's gorgeous. I'm a huge fan. And that's the thing, you know, these long-lost women's perfumes from the 70s and 80s, do not overlook them if you're a fragrance lover. Just because they were made for women, trust me, if you're a guy and you want to study the art of perfumery, you have to check out these old discontinued or even not discontinued women fragrances from decades gone past. They are absolutely amazing. Another one from the 90s, actually, which is still available for purchase, but this is thanks to one of my subscribers, Rachel Ning. Thank you very much, Rachel. This is 24 Faubourg, which is her favorite perfumer, Maurice Rousselle. So Maurice Rousselle created 24 Faubourg, and this is one that I have to still wear and get to know a little bit, but it seems like it's a spicy floral scent. So you get hyacinth and ylang, and you get some orange blossom, gardenia, iris, jasmine, common elder, and then there's a little bit of fruit from peach, and then a base of amber, patchouli, sandalwood, and vanilla. I think this came out in the mid-90s, if I'm not mistaken, but I will wear that some more and talk about it on the channel very soon. Okay, now we're going to go to the big bottles. But first, we're going to stick with Hermès. And this is Calèche. Calèche is an aldehydic floral that was created by Guy Robert. This is a vintage bottle. You can see how they used to do the batch codes in the old days. I love it. And so Calèche is a classic aldehydic floral. Guy Robert was big into the classics, and he was big into a fragrance that's actually coming up very soon. So we'll talk about some more of his floral fragrances soon, and then we'll talk about the fragrance that he really idolized, that he thought was the greatest fragrance of all time. But this is aldehydes with neroli, orange blossom, jasmine, lily of the valley, gardenia, iris, jasmine, rose, and ylang. Beautiful floral scent. This is a vintage eau de toilette, and as you can see, I need to talk about it before the juice is all gone. I need to wear it and talk about it. Another vintage Hermès that I scored, that I am absolutely over the moon to have this bottle, especially at the price I paid, is this. This is a vintage bottle of Amazon. And Amazon came out, so Calèche came out in 61, Amazon came out in 74. And this is also a floral Chypré. And it is Geranium, Hyacinth, Cassia, and that Cassia gives it this very spicy, you know, almost pissy vibe in the opening. I really love it. I love the contrast of floral, some dirtiness to it, some greenness. This is a very green scent when you first spray. And then you get Lily of the Valley, Iris, Jasmine, and Rose with a base of heavy oak moss and vetiver. It's a beautiful fragrance, completely unisex. Don't let the fact it was targeted towards, you know, women in 1974 put you off. This is an amazing creation. And like I said, over the moon to have this bottle. And I will talk about that very soon on my channel. Now one that I struggle with. This is a floral fragrance that has teeth, as Eugene says, and he's spot on, because this is a, I'm not sure what does it. I'm not sure what note really, it just hits me like a sledgehammer to the brain. It's a Rouge Hermes, and you can see the beautiful artwork, Rouge on the back. And Rouge Hermes is, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's the mixture of ylang and rose and iris in this resinous base thing going on. But whatever it is, I struggle with this. This is too much for me. I mean, it's too much florals. It's too much, you know, I'm curious if a vintage bottle would be different. But Eugene did warn me. He said, hey, it's an animalic floral with teeth. And maybe not even an animalic floral. It's just a heavy indolic floral with teeth. And yeah, this is too much for me. Of all of the floral Hermès fragrances, that's my least favorite by far. Okay, now we're going to jump to some Chanel's. And we're going to do the one everyone knows, of course, 1921 Chanel No. 5. This is in the Eau de Toilette. I actually prefer the Eau de Cologne as far as Chanel No. 5 goes. But this is floral, powdery, it's aldehydic, it's an Ernst Beau creation. You can just imagine Ernst Beau and, you know, Chanel putting their heads together when it's just them two, no market research, no, you know, is this going to sell, and just putting out whatever the hell they want. Aldehydes with Neroli, Iris, Jasmine from Grass, Lily of the Valley, May Rose, and then, of course, that vanilla, vetiver, sandalwood, and amber base. This is also one that I don't know if I would say I struggle with it, but I don't get excited to wear it. You know, it's something that I may spray on before bed to remind myself of it, but I'm not getting ultra excited to wear No. 5. It's just not my thing. One that I like a little bit more, and I got this from Amouage, and this is a vintage bottle. Check this out. This is a 19 milliliter bottle. I think this is from the 80s. Look at this. Compliments of Chanel. This is what they gave you as a freebie whenever you bought one of their fragrances back in the day. And this is number 22. So this is known as their wedding scent, is what they call it. And look at that. That was a freebie back in the day. Oh, how things have changed. And number 22 is aldehydes, Lily of the Valley, Neroli, Jasmine, Rose, and Ylang. I like this more. For whatever reason, I don't know why either, because to my nose, there are lots of similarities, but for whatever reason, I like the blend here better. This is more pleasing to my nose, and I enjoy wearing this. I enjoy wearing this more than No. 5, and there's a Balenciaga floral Chypré coming up very soon that I like maybe even more than both of the Chanels, but we'll talk about that in a second. Another Chanel that has this fresh greenness to it, but is also very cold. You know how I said the ocean rain has this cold, deep feel, almost like you're deep in the ocean. Not in the sense of the aquatic sense, but in the sense of the coldness of you're alone. You know, you're alone deep in the ocean. It has that kind of vibe to it, that coldness. So does this. This is Cristalle. And this is the Eau de Parfum. This is a vintage bottle. I hear these are hard to find nowadays all of a sudden. I won't take it out of the plastic. It's such a pain. But it's just it's a splash of Cristalle, 125 mil. And it's Lily of the Valley, Bergamot, Mandarin Orange, Peach, and Lemon with Hyacinth, Iris, Jasmine. And it's that Hyacinth, Iris, Jasmine. I think it's that cold iris that really does it. High-class iris with that, you know, oak moss, vetiver. Vetiver is a very masculine note, but you see it over and over again in these vintage feminine fragrances. That's why I say they're completely unisex. Don't let the fact that it's targeted towards women put you off. If you're watching the floral fragrance video, you're probably interested in this topic anyways. So, Jacques Polge, who created Cristalle Eau de Parfum in 93, created this little gem in 83. This is called Ungaro Diva. And this is a little mini. It's a 7 mil, I think. 7 or 8 mil. This is copyright Parfums Ungaro 1992. This is before Salvatore Ferragamo purchased them and did a reformulation. This is fantastic stuff. Floral, spicy. I love the DNA. There's another fragrance I'm going to show you in just a second that almost seems like Diva perfected, if you will. It's cardamom, coriander, beautiful tuberose, beautiful jasmine, narcissus, ylang, rose, carnation, iris, and orris root. And then the way that they use the honey in the base is just stunning. I love this fragrance. I wish I got a bigger bottle, to be honest with you. I can't talk today. I wish I got a bigger bottle. But I would say this is one to put on the list. If you like this, which is I'm about to show you next. If you like this, this is a vintage eau de toilette of Chanel's Coco. I would highly encourage you to check out Diva. They're both Jacques Polge. They're 1 year apart. Coco Eau de Toilette came out in 84. Diva came out in 83. And they're both floral oriental. They're like floral oriental fragrances blended together. Coco maybe is a little bit more spicy because it's got the pimento, you know, it's got the frankincense, which I don't think Diva has, but it keeps the civet, it keeps the honey, it keeps the jasmine, rose, orange blossom, ylang, iris. It adds an interesting frangipani note. So whereas Diva uses tuberose in the top, Coco uses frangipani, which very rarely do you see mainstream perfumers use a frangipani note to perfection. It's done here, and it's also done in some Bortnikov fragrances, which I didn't pull any of those out for the floral video, but you can look up some of Bortnikov's creations, and you will find he uses frangipani, he uses lotus flower, stuff like that, expertly. But this has this pimento coriander thing in the opening, and it has this, oh God, that is so good. It has this Angelica note in the mid, too. I love Angelica. I can't think of a single fragrance I've ever come across that has Angelica that I don't love. It's amazing. Okay, so let's talk about this Balenciaga that I mentioned earlier. And I have to make a correction because when I did my unboxing, I called this Le Dix. It is not Le Dix. It is Le Dix, which, hey, Texas is close to Mexico, not France, okay? So this is Le Dix by Balenciaga. But look at this presentation. It's got the Balenciaga bees all over the crown of the bottle. Absolutely stunning. Stunning bottle. And this is thanks to Amouage. Thank you, Amouage. This was a freebie for a big order I purchased, and man, I am glad he threw this in. I wore this to bed last night. Oh my God, this is stunning. This is Balenciaga's first fragrance in 1947, and it smells a little bit of number 5. It smells a little bit of number 22, and there is a lilac note in Le Dix that will remind you of Mitsuko. So it's got a little Mitsuko, a little number 22. It's absolute, and the ingredients smell stunning. It smells like, the base also smells like there's real Mysore sandalwood in this. I don't know if there is, but when it dried down, I mean, I was eating my arm last night on going to bed, and I wore Ungaro number 1, which is my favorite Ungaro fragrance too. So I wore that during the day. I wore this at night on one hand, and I wore another one coming up on the other. But this blew me away. I was shocked by how much I loved this. I am so glad I got to smell this. So again, thank you, Amouage. Seriously. Your ability to throw these little gems in, which I never would have went after, is stunning. And the fact that you know my collection is even more stunning. So that just goes to show the value of working with somebody like Amouage. Okay, so another Balenciaga 1973. Both of these, by the way, I should mention, unfortunately are discontinued. Le Dix and Cialenga. I think it's Cialenga. There you go, Cialenga. They're both discontinued. This is a smaller bottle, so you don't get the beautiful Balenciaga B artwork all across the top, which is stunning. I love that. Love the presentation. But it's still the same bottle. Actually, it looks very similar to the Hohang bottle, too. It looks like they used the, same, bottle style over and over and over. So Cialenga has this Chypré quality to it, but it's even more spicy. So they've added stuff like clove. They have amped up things like blackcurrant, the citruses in the opening. It's still a beautiful fragrance. You get oak moss, patchouli, sandalwood, vetiver, and cedarwood in the base. You get clove, Irish jasmine, lily of the valley, rose, and ylang in the heart. And the top is this maybe artemisia, something green with blackcurrant and citrus fruits, whatever they've used here. Bergamot, lemon. But it's beautiful. I'm glad I got to experience it. Let's put it that way. It has some masculine aspects to it because of the heavy oak moss. It has some feminine aspects because of the heavy florals. It's a beautiful fragrance. But this, Le Dix, is something out of this world. Completely took me by surprise. Oh, it's so good. It is so good. All right, let's move on. Next, let's do some Amouages, because there's a couple that highlight a floral note that you never see, ever, 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 ever. This is Myths Man. Look at the dent I put in this bottle. I don't know if you can see the juice. Can you see it? It is right there. Right here. So that's a heck of a dent for me. And Myths Man, oh God, I love wearing this in the autumn. This reminds me of September, October, November. Oh, it is chrysanthemum, which is basically a funeral flower. Insane flower to highlight. This is a chrysanthemum flower fragrance with iris, rum, rose, vetiver, elemi, labdanum, leather, and the most amazing note of ash. Not incense, okay? This is absolutely not incense. This is ash. This is ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This is volcano ash. This is that kind of... This fragrance is very introspective because chrysanthemum in and of itself is a funeral flower, right? So it makes you think of life and death. And then you get this ash note. What a unique fragrance. And it's smoky. you know, the leather in the base. If you wear like a beautiful leather shoes, if you're dressed up, you wear a leather belt, beautiful leather wallet, this accents all of that beautifully. Fantastic fragrance. This is in the shadow of Interlude Man. People say it's like Interlude Light. It's not. It's nothing like Interlude. It's its complete own thing, but it's that Amouage style at the time, so people just lumped it together. This is the only 50 ml bottle I have of Amouage, and I regret it to this day. I wish I would have got 100 mils of this. I absolutely love Myths Man for its daring, for its bravery, you know, for doing something that is completely out of left field. I mean, you know, someone on Fragrantica or something wrote that this is like this fragrance is like a nightmare. That's what they said. It's like a nightmare. And while I understand what they're saying because it's floral, some people say it smells old lady-ish, or I disagree with all of that, by the way. But this is a thinking man or woman's fragrance. Let's put it that way. This is something you put on and you think about, you know, life in your place in the universe, that kind of stuff. Okay, next we're going to do a Bertrand Duchaufour. And this is another unique fragrance, or another unique note to highlight in the floral world. And this is called Dior Man. And you can see the dent I've put in this bottle as well. And Dior Man highlights Peony, which is one of the most beautiful floral smells you'll smell in the entire world, but it is so soft. You know, if a peony flower is right here next to your face, you won't smell it. You have to put your nose dead in the flower to smell it. And that's why this fragrance gets a bad rap, because people say, oh, it doesn't project, it doesn't, you know, it's the longevity isn't there, it's not beast mode. It's not meant to be beast mode. It's meant to be a unique, woody, spicy floral fragrance with resins, labdanum, that beautiful Amouage frankincense, and then peony, plum blossom, ylang ylang, and iris with leather in the base, and vetiver, Brazilian rosewood, amber, and patchouli. Stunning stuff. You wear this to the office, and I guarantee you no one smells better than you, no matter what they're wearing. You know, even if it's a $2,000 Roja Dove, you're outclassing them with Dior Man. All right, now let's talk about Gold. So Gold was obviously the first Amouage fragrance, and it is a Guy Robert creation, okay? So this is Gold Woman in this beautiful pouch. I got this from Muda Seer. This is Gold Woman. And Gold Woman is a floral oriental fragrance that is probably closest to something like Joy. So if you like Joy, check out Amouage Gold. And Amouage Gold Man amps up the animalic some to me. It seems like Gold Woman focuses a little bit more on the floral. Gold Man focuses on the animalics a little bit more. The woman's version has Lily of the Valley, Rose, Frankincense, Jasmine, Myrrh. The man's version has Dog Rose, Lily of the Valley, Frankincense, Jasmine, Myrrh, with this amped up civet note. Now, it's also oak moss, patchouli, sandalwood, stuff like that. But if you like, you know, this is, even though this is a Arabic brand, this is not Arabic perfumery. This is not Spirit of Dubai, okay? This is fine French perfumery in an Arabic bottle. That's why they wanted to get Guy Robert. They wanted a fine French perfumer. And of course, Guy Robert has been working on perfecting one of his take on one of the greatest fragrances of all time, which is this. Almost dropped it. Which is this. This is Lanvin Arpège Extraordinare. Now, this bottle, I got a steal on. I don't think the woman knew what she had, to be honest with you. This is a gigantic bottle of the Extrait. I had to cut this little golden seal. It was still sealed. and opened it up and decanted some of it. I love the way that the bottle sits in between these. There's a little paper about it in between these two little things to hold it in place. But the smell of Arpège, this fragrance blew me away. This is one of the best powdery floral animalic fragrances I've ever smelled. And animalic in the sense that there's a beautiful ambergris in the dry down. The next Lanvin I'm going to show you is more animalic floral. My God. So there's this aldehydic opening, okay, with Arpège. And you would say, yeah, okay, it's number 5. It's not number 5. This is better than number 5. I'm telling you right now, this is better. Trust me. Trust my nose on this one. Arpège is better than number 5 by a mile. This is Lily of the Valley, honeysuckle. Beautiful honeysuckle note, too. Maybe the best I've ever come across. Aldehydes, neroli, peach, geranium, iris, jasmine, camellia flower, rose, lily of the valley, lily, ylang ylang. Look at that floral heart. And then a base of ambergris, benzoin, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla, vetiver, and musk. It is absolutely stunning. I've never given this a full wear, but I've worn it to bed multiple times. I usually wear these women fragrances to bed, okay? I don't usually wear them as my scent of the day, but I will. I'm going to wear this as my scent of the day, and we're going to talk about this because this fragrance deserves to be talked about, in my opinion. This is stunning stuff. And, you know, I'm so glad I was able to find this bottle at the price that I found it for. It is, look at this. I don't know if you can see. Look how big the bottle is. That's Extra juice. So, anyways, I got lucky with that. And then the same seller had this, and I went back and bought it because I said, you know what? That was a hell of a deal. It was legit. This is also legit, and it is. This is called My Sin by Lanvin. And I think this bottle's from like the 50s or 60s. I'm not 100% sure on the dates. All I know is it's old. So you can see it is old. Look at the cardboard inside even. Look at it's like turning brown. But this was also unopened. Look at the cardboard inside. I mean, you can tell this is old stuff. And there's the bottle. My Sin by Lanvin. There's a little sticker on the back. Not as big of a bottle as the Extra, which is weird to say because usually Extra you just get a little itty bitty bit. And My Sin is more on the animalic side. So it keeps a lot of the same notes as Arpège. Keeps the aldehydes. It adds clary sage. So you get a little bit of this sweatiness in the opening. Almost like this dirty dancing vibe with neroli and clove. So it's a little bit spicier. They've added lilac and narcissus, but they keep the jasmine, orris root, lily of the valley, rose, ylang ylang. And then they've added like some styrax, tolu balsam, and civet to the mix. So they've removed the ambergris and added civet. So this is 19, I think Arpège Extra came out in 27. My Sin may have even been first. This may have been 24. I can't remember. But this was the height of Lanvin's success. These two, Arpège and My Sin, I'm so glad to have them. They are both discontinued, which is a slap in the face to vintage fragrance lovers. But God, I'll talk more about these some other time. But I wanted to at least give them a quick highlight on the floral video. Okay, let's go to some modern stuff. So this came out in 2007. It is now discontinued, of course. I mean, you are on my channel. What do you expect? This is a Jean-Paul Gaultier fragrance, and it's called Fleur du Mal, the white bottle. Francis Kirkjohn created this. One of his best works, actually. Some people would argue his best fragrance. And if that was your argument, I wouldn't argue with you. I mean, if you made your case for that, I would agree. I don't know if it's his best work. You know, that might be, I don't know. We'll talk about that some other time. But this fragrance is very interesting because it's one of the best executed notes of neroli and chamomile. Those two notes here, actually three: neroli, orange blossom, and chamomile. And you could even throw petitgrain in there. Petitgrain and neroli and orange blossom kind of form like this triangle. And the base is basil, chamomile, and coumarin. Okay, so there is some synthetics, obviously, but this for a masculine fragrance in 2007 was very brave. You know, this floral fragrance, and I absolutely love it. And then what ended up happening was, and I actually discovered these in reverse. I discovered this one first, and then I discovered Fleur du Mal. This is Reflection Man. Both came out in 2007. I don't know which came first, to be honest with you. If anyone knows, leave it in the comments. But, my God. I prefer Reflection Man, but I love them both. Jesus, Reflection Man. Ugh. It's, it keeps that narrowly, you know, clean sheet freshness thing going on. The floral, look at the dent I put in Reflection Man. Again, you know I love my Amouages. My old Amouages. I won't buy the new stuff. I'm not going to buy Royal Tobacco or whatever the hell they're pimping now. I'm out. The brand has lost me as a customer. But this is Lucas Swiezak, and what they did in the top of this fragrance is what makes it so unique, because they added this rosemary and this bitter orange leaf and red pepper. So you still get the fresh sheet neroli smell, but it starts out, you know, with a little bit of vintage masculinity to it. You know, like Paco Rabanne Pour Homme had that rosemary opening. This has a little bit of that, but then it just goes straight into that fresh, floral, jasmine, iris, neroli, ylang ylang, which, again, very brave for a masculine release in 2007. There is patchouli, sandalwood, and vetiver and cedarwood to give it a little bit of heft, but it's all about the floral heart in Reflection Man. And, I mean, I love it. For weather like we have in Texas, when it's 100 degrees in July, I'll rock Reflection Man all day. I don't care. And then finally, finishing off the right side of the table, we are going to talk about a Paco Rabanne fragrance called La Nuit, which means the night. And this is the eau de toilette. This is the eau de parfum. You can see the eau de parfum has this little, almost like this line that goes around it, this halo. The eau de toilette is completely clear. So that's one way to distinguish the two. This is a splash. This is a spray. Note listing is exactly the same. It's just one's an eau de parfum, one's an eau de toilette. It's basically a floral chypre, okay? And it is spicy. There's Artemisia. It's a little green. There's Artemisia and myrtle. But it's this perfectly executed jasmine that will just really get you here, because there is a little bit of animalic heft to the base. There's oak moss, leather, civet, cedar, but it's this jasmine and rose combo that really will grab you. It's so good. You know, it's in the same ballpark. This is 85, by the way. So it's in the same ballpark as something like Coco, which came out a year earlier, or Diva, which came out 2 years earlier. It's in the same ballpark as Teatro alla Scala, which came out a couple years later, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think. I didn't include that in this list. But if you like those fragrances like I do, like the ones I just listed, check out Paco Rabanne La Nuit. It's discontinued, of course, but what a fragrance. I mean, there's a lot more going on than just the florals, by the way, because it's a true Chypré, but it's fantastic. I love both versions. I've tried them both. Maybe I'll do a comparison video if I can get around to it one day between the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum. So, and how about the bottle? Stunning bottle. Okay, let's go to the left side of the table. So let's grab the freebie that I wore to bed last night on the other hand, which just couldn't compete with Le Dix. I'm still in awe of this fragrance. But the one I wore on the other hand is this. This is a fragrance called Jackie. Jackie Simone. Simone, I think, is how you pronounce this. The house is a house called Jacques Simone, who was, I think, the founder. He passed away. And this is a scent that was made for women. And there's no note tree, but it's basically a, what makes this fragrance a little unique is it's manufactured in Jamaica. Kingston, Jamaica in the West Indies, which is not known for fragrances, obviously. This house is still around, even though this guy passed away. This Jacques Simone passed away. They're just doing, you know, $20, $30 fragrances now. This came out in 1977, and Amouage included this in one of my hauls for free. And it is a, it feels like it's part, or it's like a floriental. It's like part oriental, part floral fragrance. It smells like maybe there's some rose, maybe there's some jasmine, you know, maybe there's some, maybe even narcissus. It was okay, but again, it was on one wrist and Le Dix was on the other, and I just was in love with Le Dix. And so, you know, the ingredients were medium. They didn't seem super high quality, but it was okay. You know, for I think he's selling these on his website for $27 or $47 or something. It's not bad, but I wouldn't go run out and grab that. Okay, now one you should run out and grab if you're a lover of a proper floral Chypré is Estee Lauder's Knowing. My God. This is an Ellie Roger creation. It's mimosa, plum, pittosporum, rose, tuberose, and beautiful tuberose. You know, I usually don't like tuberose, but the tuberose in some of these fragrances that I've been mentioning that has tuberose is stunning stuff. And it's stunning here too in Knowing. And there's this beautiful plum, jasmine, orange blossom note. Plum was a big thing in the 80s because of a fragrance we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And but as far as floral Chypré fragrances go, my God, this is one of the best. Knowing. Not my favorite Estee Lauder. I'll take Azure all day for my personal taste, but that's a good one. Okay, now we're going to talk about a Bagway fragrance called Mai. M-A-A-I. I don't like this brand. I don't like this perfumer. Antonio Gardoni, he's just too... Something about his style is... It's like a Brillo pad on my face for some reason. And this is a fragrance that uses tuberose absolute, aldehydes, jasmine, ylang ylang, and rose with this heavy eucalyptus note. And it just... I can't get on with his scents. You know, he did another one for this house called Mem, which also really put me off. And then he did T-Rex, I think, for Zoologist, which was also this big, heavy, you know, supposed to have a blood note in it. He just does, you know, fragrances that you would think I would love, because I like Amouage fragrances, but something about his style, I've never been able to just really wrap my hands around it and grab it and enjoy it. And this is an animalic floral that is just too much for me. But if you like this style, this could be a, you know, this could be a hidden gem for you. So check this one out. But do sample it first. Don't blind buy it like I did. Okay, now we're going to talk about one of the greatest oriental spicy floral fragrances of all time. This particular version is discontinued, okay? So this is the old Christian Dior, Parfums Christian Dior version. And this is Poison Esprit de Parfum. Now this is a splash, beautiful presentation. It is honey, anise, plum, pimento, berries. My God. Carnation, jasmine, neroli, rose, tuberose. Again, big tuberose scent. With heliotrope, lovely heliotrope. Lots of flowers in here, but it's a spicy oriental at heart. It's that orange honey, that apopanax that really make this scent the vanilla. It is amazing though. You have to give it to Dior. And this is the Esprit de Parfum, which is like the most intense version basically, and it is amazing. Sometimes I'll wear this to bed and I'm just like, it's like being in a wind tunnel. It's like being in a wind tunnel, you know. But it's an amazing fragrance. I need to wear these as like my scent of the day one day. But I always want to wear my masculine stuff, so I don't know. Okay, now we'll talk about a unisex fragrance from the house of Zoologist called Moth. Now, Moth is this spicy sweet scent. Anabatumu created this. She's the perfumer. I think she's a Japanese perfumer. She did an amazing job. This almost seems like a niche version of a Guerlain, of like a Guerlain from 100 years ago. You get this spicy, dark opening, this very mysterious dark opening with clove, cinnamon, cumin, but it's this floral heart that really captivates this fragrance. So there's a lot more going on too. I'll have to do a full, or try to do a full review on this one day. But the heart is heliotrope, iris, jasmine, rose, mimosa, and lily of the valley. And then a base of oud, gaiac wood, nagamantha, which is cypriol, and smoke. And it really gives you the vibe of this moth that is lost in the dark, you know, searching for the light. You get that smoke. Like if he gets too close to the fire, he's going to burn. But, you know, there's beautiful florals. You're in this enchanted forest looking for the light, kind of, you know, it gives you that vibe. It's a fantastic, as an artistic fragrance, this is amazing. It is powdery though, and there is a little bit of sweetness from the synthetic saffron and oud and stuff like that. There's even honey and resins that add even more sweetness, which I love honey. But what an artistic creation Moth is. There's a couple others from this brand that I think I would like to own, like Hyrax and Camel and stuff like that. They're on my watch list. But I'm doing a no buy July, so it'll have to be August. Okay, next we're going to go to a 1984 Dominique Ropion creation from the house of Givenchy called Satis. Satis de Givenchy. And wow. I mean, this is another floral chiffre. And it's another splash that I got from Amouage. And it's another vintage. 100 mils. There's the sticker on the bottom. And this is a fragrance that is I read this on one of the either base notes or Fragrantica. They said this fragrance is like being at a giant boutique or at a giant dinner where there's servants waiting on you and the food is just lavishly prepared. And each food menu item is like a note. And you can just experience each and every note in this fragrance. And that is true. You know, again, I've only worn this to bed. I have not worn this as my scent of the day. But from the couple times I've worn it to bed, it is amazing. It is stunning. There's so much going on. There's aldehydes, it's green, there's galbanum, there's neroli, it's fresh, it's dirty, there's honey, there's Florentine iris, jasmine, tuberose again, Egyptian rose, narcissus, and ylang ylang. 6 big florals with neroli and orange blossom. And then there's big oak moss in the base, big clove, big patchouli, and big civet and castoreum. There's even supposedly this bay rum note, which even adds to the image of you're at a big, banquet. The civet and castoreum just makes it so interesting. It keeps these fragrances interesting to me. And that's what I love about animalic fragrances. And, it does what it does so well. I would have no problems wearing this. Absolutely no problems. All right, we're going to talk about a few geranium fragrances. And the first one is probably the geranium fragrance to end all geranium fragrances. It's Geranium Pour Monsieur. Now, geranium is a flower that can sometimes smell like a rose. It can sometimes smell like a spicy geranium. Sometimes has a spiciness to it. And here, Dominique Ropion's mixed it with mint and peppermint. So you get a little bit of that minty opening, but it never goes toothpaste. So don't worry, you're not going to smell crest here or anything. And they've mixed it with clove, cinnamon, sandalwood, styrax, and frankincense. But geranium is the star of the show here. And this gives you all the facets of geranium. You get that rose, you get the spiciness that geranium gives you. It's stunning. Fantastic summer scent too. Need to wear this more. And then we've got Equipage Geranium, which is the other master perfumer. So this is Jean-Claude Elena. And Equipage Geranium is spicy, green. It's sandalwood, clove, and geranium. And this also highlights geranium beautifully because geranium has this shape-shifting quality to it. Like I said, sometimes it smells like geranium, sometimes it smells like rose, sometimes it smells spicy, sometimes it smells clean. And this fragrance does that with other notes as well. It does it with the geranium, but it also does it with the sandalwood. The sandalwood has this, mirage-like quality to it too. Sometimes you smell it and think, this doesn't smell that good. This smells cheap. Sometimes you smell it and think, this smells like Mysore sandalwood. How did Jean-Claude Elena do it? Sometimes you smell it and, you get the clove heavier. Sometimes you smell it, you get the geranium. And it's just this perfect interplay between these notes. Simplicity, but complexity. And this is a Jean-Claude Elena fragrance through and through to a T. I mean, perfect to a T. All right, now we're going to do a creed, the only creed on this list. This is 1849, Millésime 1849. I have no clue who the perfumer is, by the way. This is 2013, so I think Pierre Bourdon was already gone and retired. My guess is, if I had to guess who perfumed this based on the smell, because there is a little bit of royal oud in this fragrance, just because of the oud in the base. But because of that royal oud-like base, I would guess it's Julien Rasconnais, but I don't know. No one's given him credit for this, so I have no clue who the perfumer is. Unless maybe they just used that oud note that Creed was using. But the florals here are 2. And this is one of the, I will say this about this fragrance. This is a powdery, floral, woody scent because of the oud and sandalwood, a Creed sandalwood. And they've used jasmine and they've used ylang ylang. And the ylang ylang here is actually one of the best executed ylang ylang notes I've smelled. I love the ylang ylang in here, but it is very powdery, okay? So if you don't like powdery fragrances, this is going to be a big no-no for you. Big no-no. If you can stand the powderiness of the first couple hours, it starts to go more woody. and you start to get more vanilla, and you start to get that oud that you get in Royal Oud. But I saw this on eBay for $1,000. Do not pay $1,000 for this. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. It probably is not worth the $400 I paid for it, or whatever it is. This is a 2015 bottle. So it says it's still available for purchase. I don't know if it is. I think this might be discontinued. Okay, now we're going to do another niche house called Clive Christian, and this is a floral powdery scent. This is number 1 for men. And number 1 for men, I don't know if you can see that, but it says Clive Christian, made in the UK, number 1 for men. It is, I don't know how different it is from number 1 for women, but what I think they did is I think they took that nutmeg, paprika, spicy opening you get in Clive Christian X, and I think they added it to the opening of number 1. They kept the same heart, is my guess, because it's heliotrope, iris, jasmine, lily of the valley, rose, and ylang ylang. So 6 flower floral heart, and it's a big one. And this is a very floral, powdery fragrance. Most guys would probably have a hard time wearing this. If you're not into wearing women's perfumes, you might think this smells like grandma. You might think this is, you know, that kind of vibe. But if you're not into the whole gender in perfumery thing, it might be one to check out. But make sure you get it discounted. Do not pay $1,000 for this. I'm telling you. If you can get this for a couple $100, sure. Check out number 1. Otherwise, pass. Okay, now we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 masculines in a row. Then we're going to do 6 feminines. Then we're going to do 2 masculines and we'll be done. So the first masculine is a discontinued gem from the 70s. Gem. If you ever find this fragrance, grab it. I'm telling you. It is... Chris from Scentland said... if he could make a signature scent of any bottle, okay, it would be this. And this is Nino Cerruti Pour Homme from 1979. Long discontinued. Long discontinued. There are 2 florals that stand out in this, but they're big. So even though this is spicy, it's woody, it's green, there's galbanum, juniper, mint, bergamot, all that stuff, lemon. There's even some strange fruitiness that I can't put my finger on. Thyme, stone pine. It's the jasmine and it's the carnation. The jasmine in this is one of the best masculine jasmine fragrances I've ever smelled. Ever. It is stunning. Completely year-round, I would say. You could wear this in any weather, but I usually would wear it in spring and summer. But it's heavy is the thing. So it would be heavy for spring and summer because there's amber, benzoin, oak moss, musk, balsam fir, and cedar wood in the base. But that jasmine, it just carries. It just carries and carries and carries. It's absolutely beautiful. Another, and that's 1979. So that was way out of left field for the times. 1990, Karl Lagerfeld put out Photo. Okay, which this is not an original bottle. This is the reformulated Unilever bottle. Either way, I'm just glad to have a bottle. Have you seen the prices on this stuff lately? It's insane. But this is honey, lavender, galbanum, and then you get that floral heart of jasmine, rose, carnation, cyclamen. And the florals here come through. I mean, from the get-go, the florals will hit you. And this is another Chris from Scentland love. So he loves these 2 big florals. And there's a third one that's coming up here in just a second. The base is amber, benzoin, oak moss, gaiac wood, patchouli, sandalwood, cedar, tonka, and musk. But don't worry about, you know, the heavy sounding base. This is a very fresh, at least in this iteration. Maybe there are some differences to the vintage, which I do have 5 or 10 mils of the vintage minis. I'll do a comparison between these fragrances one day soon. But Photo is, you know, this would be a niche fragrance today, for sure, 100%. No designer would put that out. And then we've got Insensé from Givenchy. This is another Crisp from Scentland love. And this is one that I can't get. I mean, I like it, but it's a little strange. It's got blackcurrant, mandarin orange, and basil. So it's green, it's fruity, it's citrusy. It's floral because of the iris, magnolia, and lily of the valley. That's the floral heart. And then there's this mastic note and fir balsam. It's very strange. 1993 this came out. And, you know, I think I saw bottles like this on fragrancebuy.ca just this year for $70. Obviously, no one's interested in this, even now. It's just weird. I'm glad to have it as a reference. Can't say I'm excited to wear it. And then Versace's The Dreamer. Now, you might say Versace's The Dreamer, that's a tobacco fragrance. No, it is a tobacco flower fragrance with iris, lily, and flax. And you get this freshness, almost like this dryer sheet freshness when you first spray. And it mixes with the green, fresh notes like juniper, artemisia, tarragon, and that puts some people off. If you can stand the first 10 to 15 minutes of this fragrance, it turns into something amazing because you get that tobacco flower-like smell, which can sometimes smell a little bit, you know, fruity and a little bit sweet. It can smell a little bit like lilac. So tobacco flower can smell like fruity lilac kind of vibe. But it's a beautiful creation. Gianni Versace only got to wear this for like a year before he died, unfortunately. And then a fragrance that the great Emile recommended that I buy. And I got like 4 bottles because I got them for such a cheap price. And I got the vintage. This is a fragrance called Tamango de Leonard. And Tamango de Leonard is... Tamango de Leonard is this huge floral fragrance, which, here, I'll read you the notes in just a second. Let's see. Tamango, there we go. Okay, so Tamango de Leonard, floral green. There are some spices when you first spray, but you instantly get hit with the white flowers. The jasmine, lily of the valley instantly attacks you with iris, carnation, and rose. It's a beautiful fragrance, but it's extremely floral. One of the most floral fragrances in my collection. Glad to have it. Glad to have a vintage. It's not my favorite fragrance, I will tell you that. But, I mean, I could sell the other bottles, I'm sure. Now, a couple Guerlains. There could have been 10 Guerlains in this list. But a couple Guerlains. The first one is going to be L'air Bleu in the Eau de Toilette. This fragrance completely brought me to my knees. I mean, the mixture of iris, violet, neroli, carnation, and even though there's no heliotrope note listed on Parfumo, on the back of this bottle it says dominant notes, heliotrope, #1. And I actually said that I thought this was a heliotrope dominant fragrance, and someone said I was crazy. I still think this is the best heliotrope fragrance of all time. It's powdery, it's doughy, it's like Play-Doh-y. I think this is it's very moody. That purple color comes to mind for sure. And it's just a piece of art. It's art in a bottle. And then even though this is a fruity Chypré, I'm going to include it because of the florals here. It's Mitsuko. I wore this to bed a couple days ago, and talk about bringing you to your knees. Oh my God, it is so good. Jasmine, rose, lilac, and ylang-ylang. Those 4 florals mixed with that ambergris, oak moss, spices, vetiver, cinnamon, and peach. Oh, it's just this I need to wear for sure very soon. Okay, 3 more women's fragrances, 2 masculines, and we're done. So this is a cheapie, but it's discontinued now. So if you want it, get it fast. This was sent to me by Heinke. I hope you're doing well, Heinke. I haven't heard from you in a while. 1986. This is a floral, spicy, animalic fragrance is how I would describe this. This is Ignea Explosive. So Etienne Ignea Explosive. And this is the eau de toilette. There's the eau de toilette. And the reason I love this fragrance from the very first spray, instantly loved it. Obviously, it was a floral fragrance, aldehydic floral with iris, lily of the valley, geranium, and rose. But there's this animalic facet to it that comes at you from the beginning. And I don't know what it is because there's no civet, no castoreum, no... There is ambergris listed, but I doubt at this price point they're using real ambergris. But it smells high class. Even though this is a cheapie, this smells expensive to me. And the oak moss, the patchouli, vetiver, ambergris, and sandalwood in the base. Ugh, it's so good. Such a great, one of the best animalic floral fragrances in my collection, in my opinion. And then we're going to do a Dominique Ropion and Jean-Louis Suizac. This is Kenzo Jungle. Some call it the elephant because of the elephant on the cap. But just original Kenzo Jungle from 96. This is cardamom, gardenia, again, heliotrope. So these two, maybe even, actually I'll throw this one in too. These three, Clive Christian #1 for men, Le Bleu, and Kenzo Jungle from 96 are some of the best heliotrope, powdery, play-doughy, you know, spongy heliotrope fragrances, almondy heliotrope fragrances you can get. This is one of them, this Kenzo Jungle, because, and what they've done, which makes it really unique, is they've mixed it with mango and licorice and vanilla. So you get that, doughy heliotrope, which is what heliotrope should smell like. It should smell like this Play-Doh, with clove, mango, patchouli, vanilla, and licorice. It's so unique. Dominique Ropion and Jean-Louis Suizac hit this one out of the park. Fantastic fragrance. And then the final women's fragrance, the one that my heart is in love with right now like no other. And this is a vintage bottle of Miss Dior, Esprit de Parfum, okay? Esprit de Parfum. And this is a 75 ml recharge. My God. I wore this to bed the other day. I almost fainted. I was like, what in the world is this? It is completely amazing. It's green, but it's floral. It's dirty, but it's resinous. It's big oak moss. Ingredients, top. Roja Dove is jealous of the ingredients in this fragrance. That kind of stuff. And it's a proper Chypré fragrance. Bergamot in the top. Labdanum in the base. Oak moss in the base. This is so good. It is just absolutely stunning. The florals are neroli, gardenia, narcissus, jasmine, carnation, and rose. Stunning. If you can find an old bottle. Now, here's the thing. Miss Dior's gone through a million reformulations. You have no clue what Miss Dior is or is not anymore. So if you just go buy Miss Dior, you're not going to like it. Go to Amouage at Enchanté and get this recharge if you can. It's a little pricey, but trust me, you will not be let down. Fantastic stuff. Okay, the final two are masculines. Floral masculine fragrances. And the first one is Paco Rabanne Tenere. Now, I've talked about this fragrance before. This is a 25 ml. I have a 200 ml backup. That's how much I love this bottle. 1988. It only lasted a couple years and it got discontinued. Oh, spicy, floral, pissy, you know, almost like that animalic 80s honey, which I love, but mixed with carnation and jasmine and rose and lily of the valley, and then dirty cassia, and then leather in the base. Just everything I love in a fragrance. Fantastic. Fantastic stuff. And then we will do the final fragrance, the final floral fragrance, which is this beautiful gem from the great Gerard Anthony, which I left off of his Perfumers portfolio video when I did it 5 months ago or whatever it was. And I feel like I should remake that video, but this is Iquitos. My God, Iquitos is a true love. It's everything. It was actually supposed to be Poison. That's the story if you've never heard it. Poison and this fragrance went head to head for who would get to be Dior's Poison. This version won, but this one was right there. And Alain Delon scooped in and said, "I'll take that," and he turned it into Iquitos. And I'm so glad we have this. I almost think I like this a little bit more. Poison has this amazing tuberose, this amazing plum. This has this nutmeg and honey with aldehydes and rose and jasmine, ylang ylang, lily of the valley, and then the civet and oak moss and leather in the base. Civet, oak moss, leather, castoreum. My God, it is just, it is just perfection. I love Iquitos. I love what it does. I love what it stands for. I love everything about it. I love the powderiness of the orris. I love the banana quality of the ylang. I love the honey. It's just... And I love that it's discontinued. I love that no one's going to walk around smelling like this. So if you can find this bottle and not pay an arm and a leg, do it. Get it. It is worth it. It is a true niche fragrance through and through. And, you know, Iquitos is going for big money nowadays. But if you can find it, one of the best masculine florals money can buy. I hope you've enjoyed this. This is not a top 10, an hour, 17 minutes. Thank you for sticking with me. And cheers, guys. Thanks for all of the support. You know, I say it all the time. A like, a subscription, and a comment, of course, helps the channel. But that's not why I want you to do it. Leave a comment if you like the video. I will respond to every single comment. That's my mission statement. I will try to respond to every single comment. And I'll hopefully be able to do another video tomorrow. So cheers, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye now.